Hello, hello, and hello, and a happy Friday to you. For many, a long weekend, lots of others jumping aboard a plane. My name is Andy Asher. I am host of the Let's Talk Variety Show, and this week we started off talking about what is being called the loneliness crisis. And I was talking about a guy named Joe Rogan, possibly the highest paid podcaster, something like $100 million contract with Spotify, and comes from the world of mixed martial arts.
Both coming out in orthodox. Magomedov grew up in Dagestan.
There it is.
Moved to Germany, and he gets to work early. Lovely stuff.
That's where Joe Rogan gained fame. Now he uses his podcast podium to raise awareness to the loneliness crisis.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
There's psychological needs that are just as valuable and important as physical needs. Like, we know we have needs for nutrients, we know we have needs for water. We have needs psychological for all sorts of different things. Our communities are incredibly important. Love is incredibly important. Family is incredibly important.
Good for Joe. As I told you on Wednesday, I was meeting Thursday with the CEO of Meetup.com, David Siegel. I had a few takeaways from him about overcoming loneliness. So he numbered them 1 through 7. Reach out and reconnect with old friends. Get involved with a cause and care about it. Take up a new artistic hobby. Join a professional organization. Get active and join an exercise group. Join a group for socializing. And be your own friend first. Now, we are going to stay on the loneliness crisis. You know, I think that we can really make a difference. Fridays often become a day of catch-up, you know, getting everything done that hasn't gotten done, and that's what today's show is about. But before we get into that, let's visit Mimi in the kitchen, where she is whipping up something great.
And so today I'm going to make I'm going to use my juicer. I love this machine, especially in summertime.
Thanks, Mimi. I look forward to checking back with you shortly. Now, for the past few weeks, I have found myself absorbed in the word meta, you know, like metaverse and metamodern, metacrisis. Now, last December, the Oxford Dictionary said the viral term goblin mode beat out metaverse, and I stand with to become its 2022 word of the year. According to Oxford research, usage of the term metaverse increased almost fourfold from the previous year, driven in part by Facebook's rebranding to Meta in October of 2021. Now, I have a weekly meeting with a group who are absorbed in things related to Meta sometimes, and I turned to author Laura Leone, who was inspired to write a children's book related to the metaphysical, after what she calls a spiritual awakening in 2019. She wrote a children's book that says it's still sinking in that her book, Conscious Kid Adventures with Zane, Imagine and Create, is an international bestseller. That spiritual awakening 4 years ago has become a big influence on her life today.
So I started reading spiritual awakening books, you know, about like near-death experiences and basically what other people do when they're going through an awakening.
Some people have a difficulty understanding what is really meant by being metaphysical.
I totally agree. Probably before 2019, I felt the same way. I didn't really, it's not that I didn't care for it, but it just wasn't on my radar until I was experiencing a midlife type crisis myself. And it turned out fine, but so meta in Greek means beyond, and it's probably why Facebook changed their name to Meta, one reason.
Yeah.
And physical is physical, so beyond physical, literally that's what it means. And so there's so much that we can't physically see, and you know, there's all this thing with quantum realities now and quantum computers, and I don't claim to be an expert on like Bitcoin and quantum, but it's out there, and I believe this like double slit particle experiment came out, I want to say the 1930s or, you know, sometime in the early 1900s. So it's been around for almost 100 years. And so it's not really new, but I think the tech part that goes with the quantum, you know, information is kind of new. And so Yes, metaphysical is a pretty broad term, and I think it can be defined based on what the individual thinks. It can, because it can be their beliefs, and I think that as tech and everything moves along, we're going to find out that there's a lot more there.
How can someone who may be involved in different activities understand how that applies to being metaphysical?
I think everyone is on their own timing, where like a light bulb kind of goes off because 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago.
Doesn't it take something to get to even open your mind up to what you're talking about?
Sometimes traumatic events, unfortunately, traumatic events can lead to that, or just like a big change, like I'm suddenly out of the military, I'm a civilian one day, or suddenly I'm retired, and what do I do with my time? Like my dad had that when he was retired, and like a lot of people, I don't know if it's not feeling useful or just filling his time, but he actually admitted to being depressed or feeling depressed for about a year after he was retired because of that.
So how would he, in a case like that, discover what you're talking about and help him? Is that what's the next step after this depression and sadness?
For him, it was physical activity. So he got out, and now he does golf and plays tennis, and he's 73 going on 74. But so every single week he goes to like the Knights of Columbus and does golf like 2 times a week and does tennis like once or twice a week.
So how does that fall into the metaphysical?
Well, I've spoken to him about it because, he goes to church sometimes and all that. He didn't really understand it at first. He said, "What is metaphysical?" And I just try to tell him in terms he would understand. I'm like your soul, your spirit, your essence, basically your life force, it's you.
So this all falls within the metaphysical, right?
Yeah, like sound healing. You don't have to get out my sound healing bowl to have a sound healing. No, just talking with someone is a sound healing. You're hearing a voice. It's soothing. Same thing, audio books or, audio tapes, cassette tapes back in the days. A lot of people, would listen to those. There's all kinds of mindfulness activities that you might not think is mindfulness activity, but it really is, especially if it's healthy and you feel better while you're doing it, or feel more creative and inspired afterwards, then, that's okay. If people don't think it's metaphysical or it's, that's fine too. I mean, like I said, everyone has they have their different levels and points, and some people are just very like, oh no, I just do yoga to work out. And no, it's not metaphysical at all. But that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I just like to provide an open door for people to maybe like just take a peek inside.
It seems like something that people discover on their own, maybe, or maybe they're pushed by somebody who's a friend. But how does one discover that?
Well, I think everyone has their kind of own internal clock of, whether they're triggered by a traumatic event, hopefully not, but sometimes people, overnight, you see them, they get out of prison and they're suddenly religious, or they have cancer and they survive and they're suddenly, I think that's one of those things. And some people, interpret it as, I want to go to church. Other people like me are like, that's not the place for me, but I'm okay with it. And, so I think a lot of people, again, have these awakenings and don't really know what's going on, or they think that there's something wrong with them. And maybe there is, maybe there's not. But I think a lot of times there's probably not. And they just need some moral support, and whether it's from a doctor or priest, loved ones. And so how do you get to that point? I think it's all internalized, and it's all about going within. And basically when you're ready to, I guess, come out about it and be honest with yourself that, hey, let me take a look at my life. Am I doing what I love to do? No. Okay. How do I get from point A to point B, which could be a very long road, but how do I get to this point where I can do what I love? That's ultimately, it's a lifestyle. Basically, what are all my, points that I can do to get in actions and not just words actual, places, because I think a lot of people kind of wake up and they're like, I feel like I'm in the movie Groundhog Day. They're like, I just get up, do my coffee, I drive to my office, or now post-COVID, I go to my desk. Am I happy with what I'm doing with my life? Am I happy with what I'm spending? And I'm a financial person, so I'm big on getting your pension and getting your 401k and all that. I'm not just saying, hey, up and quit everything tomorrow and you can't pay your mortgage. But, I think that a lot of people after maybe probably age 40, maybe between 40 and 60, get to a point where they're like, they wake up and they're like, what the heck am I doing? Am I doing what I want to do for the rest of my life? And I call that a spiritual awakening, but I think a lot of people come to that point, and especially now with the internet, a lot of people I think their minds are a little more innovative, And so that's why I think a lot of people have YouTube channels and, stuff like that, and whether it's a product, service, or both. And I think it's really cool. I didn't have that in the 80s and 90s when I was growing up even. But I think there's a lot of room for innovation. It doesn't have to be metaphysical or scientific or math-based, which I love all of that. But I think it's really cool that the doors are opening for these kinds of things nowadays, and that we should be able to have an open conversation about things like mental health, emotional intelligence. Actually, it's kind of funny because I attended a webinar with the fraud examiners locally. And they had a webinar on emotional intelligence. And I actually got continuing education for accounting credits on emotional intelligence. And it was a wonderful webinar for about an hour and a half. And I learned all kinds of things about social intelligence, emotional intelligence. And, the lady presenting is like a CEO type. She's like with an MBA. She's not like a psychologist, but, her information was from like experts. And they bring up all kinds of things, and just be aware of emotional intelligence, whether it's your etiquette on a Zoom call like this, or, don't go showing up, dressed like however, and, just be aware of yourself and be aware of other people's personalities, and so it was really cool. I was kind of shocked that I attended that webinar and it was, for an accounting credit. So I think that's just an example of, how, I guess, I don't know if you want to call it tech and just everything in general is kind of hopefully blending. My hope is that science and tech will blend, and the science tech will blend with the, the metaphysical side more, because I don't think they're separate. And I think a lot of new discoveries are going to keep proving that. And so that's just my take on it.
We, again, going back to our early development and through school and college and work and corporations and being an employee, we get on a treadmill and we do that treadmill for 20, 30, 40 years maybe. And man, that whole way of thinking and that lifestyle is indoctrinated in us. It's really hard to get out of that.
Oh no, keep going. I like where you're going, but this is 100% the thing. I mean, the end goal would be that everyone gets to do what they want with their time, right? I mean, that's what I want for everyone. I want happiness. I want, thriving. I want them thriving in their lives. I want them to be able to do what they want with their time. But we also have bills too, right?
Say at a social gathering, you're meeting lots of different people, and you happen to talk about metaphysics, and I'm sure you get a lot of total blank stares, right?
Oh yeah. I mean,
so what do you say? Other than just going on and on to another topic, what?
Other than brushing them off and just saying, well, it's just that, if you go look it up on Google. No, yeah.
It must go deeper than that.
Yeah, so generally most people are just inquisitive, even if they don't care about the subject or whatever. Again, one of my attorney friends, what's the name of your business? I'm like, Starseed Metaphysical Shop. And he's like, oh, what does that mean? I was like, well, this is what I do. And
so it's just kind of one of those things that I'm wrestling with.
Yeah, and that's okay. It might take months to formulate an opinion on what is it to me, and I want people to ask themselves, what is this? What am I? And again, and lead down a whole rabbit hole. What am I doing in my life right now? And basically, it's internal. It's internal. And so I think that's a good thing. You don't need to know hard and fast, like my math equation. 1 + 1 = 2, or E = mc squared. You don't have to know that. And so that's the whole point, is that it should be a fun thing. It shouldn't be like, and different books and different ideas will resonate with different people.
What would you say to them about why they should get your book?
So that's the cover of it, and it's really colorful. I think you've only seen the ebook.
Yeah, no, I love your artwork on there, and it's really cute. Yeah.
Well, this is from my illustrator, but yeah, she's very actually she has it hit Kindle #1 bestseller. Although I would expect most parents would want it as paperback or hardback, which I'm working on. And then I have a little meditation activity in the back, and then coloring books. So it's really interactive. I am penning one editorial review from another PhD who's an educator. So I'm excited to see what she has to say. And then the QR code, which I'm not the best at these codes myself, but that just leads to my YouTube Conscious Kid meditation. And so, it's an introduction to, mindfulness and meditation for little ones, because they're not going to get this at school. And I say that lovingly, because my son goes to a local charter school, and they're amazing there. But they're not going to get a mindfulness activity, or even know what meditation is, maybe until they're much older. So it's an introduction to that, to and it helps our son go to bed. He listens to a meditation every night. He's 5.5, and he still does it. He's been doing it since he was like early, over a year now.
She will be coming out with a Spanish version of her book in July, and she is doing a STEM-based geometry book as well. Now, let's get back into Mimi's kitchen.
Hello again. So today I'm gonna make, I'm gonna use my juicer. I love this machine, especially in summertime. In the morning, if I don't want to have coffee, I will have this kind of juice. Perfect. So, green apple, and you don't have to peel it, okay? Let's just try with one and see how it goes, and then continue. So 1 green apple. There you go. 3 stalks of celery. See how easy? And it's delicious. And 2 carrots. Voila! Let it all come out, because it's like liquid gold. I love it. I would not miss any drop. So I like to just stir it. Let's turn this machine up. Look how pretty it is. Well, you can put it in a fancy glass. And voila, enjoy. This is delicious. Vitamin C, vitamin B. Celery is very good for you, especially if you have high blood pressure. They said it gets it a little bit down. So cheers, until next time. Peace. It is so delicious. You can always add some lime if you like, or lemon. I like it just that way. The sweetness of the carrot and the tartness of the green apple, it's just fantastic. Good morning.
Thanks, Mimi. We will see you on a Monday. You have a great long weekend, all right? Now, I want to thank you for supporting the show. If you liked it or you learned something new, I want to tell you 3 ways that you can support the show and keep the Let's Talk Variety show going. Now, number 1, just get yourself subscribed. You know, every show I am bringing inspirational guests who can teach or have something interesting to share. So just take a moment to hit that subscribe button. And number 2, this is the ultimate way to support the Let's Talk Variety show, and it takes less than a minute to do it. You can write something. It's just short and sweet. Like, you know, I love this show. It has changed your life, or something you learned from it. I am not exaggerating that I read reviews every single day, and every single one, whether short or long, it means everything to me. And the more reviews means the higher we rank on all those algorithms, which of course means some bigger guests. So take a moment to just leave a review. And number 3, just share the show with your friends. Just hit the share button. We live stream on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I am eternally grateful. And I thank you so much for supporting the Let's Talk Variety show about productivity, about positivity, happiness, and inspiration.